Hello to my fellow glorious Gaians. Thank you for joining me, Amber, on my channel, Guidance Through Gaia, where I do tarot pick a card readings. If this is your first time here today, welcome, and I hope that you find something that resonates with you. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you for giving me another opportunity to read your energy. I am open for personal readings. If you're interested, just look for my contact information in the description box down below. Send me an email and I'll send you a list of my services. So today we are looking at an energy check-in. We've got 3 piles here. These cards are going to represent the individuals involved, so you and your person that you're inquiring about. Then we are going to use 2 different tarot decks to read the energy each person has towards the relationship. We're going to be using an oracle deck to see what the influences in that each person's energy are, and then just get some advice. So we have 3 piles, as I said. We have, I know she's a little damaged, but we've got this right here, which when I used my rock identifying app, it was citrine. Kind of looks like a tooth, like a tooth. Then we have tiger's eye here. And then we have dragon's blood here. All right, so go ahead, choose your pile or piles, and I will see you there. Bye. Hi, group number 1. If you chose the citrine stone, this will be your reading about an energy check-in regarding you and another person. So we're going to start first by looking at the profiles of each individual. The intention was that you resonate with person A, but if you resonate with person B more, then this is still your reading, right? You know, it's a general reading, so not everything is always going to line up. So let's start. We have strength. We have nurse, and we have raccoon. So what can we find out about this person? Group number 1. So this person is very emotionally strong. They have been through either a history of trauma or they have been through something traumatic recently. And they're potentially either very good at putting on a mask and others not really being able to notice when they're hurting, or they use their pain to build themselves stronger. So even if they talk about it, right, they know that what they're going through is temporary and that they have the power to evolve beyond the pain. This could be somebody who may have felt misunderstood throughout their lifetime, like raccoons, right? We think of them as like bandits. People get frustrated with them. There's a fear of them because of the potential for rabies. But raccoons are very intelligent and sociable animals, and like they serve a purpose. They're scavengers. So their kind of purpose in life is to kind of clean up the mess. And that may be what this person feels like they've kind of had to do throughout all of their life, whether it's their own mess or the messes of others. And yet they still shine throughout all of this. They still hold themselves tall. This person could work in a healthcare industry, or they could be going to school for healthcare. It could be even like working with wildlife rehab. And with the strength card, they could be a Leo. They could be somebody who does take very good care of their body, whether this is like strength training or cardio or yoga or just anything, really. I would say this person, even if they're quiet and introverted, they have a courage that others may not expect of them. And I think overall their presence is very healing. This is probably the kind of person who is going to be the shoulder to cry on, the person who's going to be the first to step in and ask, hey, what's wrong? I noticed something was off about you today. This is somebody who is used to carrying the burdens of other people, and they actually themselves may not ask for much help. I think they are resourceful with this raccoon energy. They notice things and they find use in things that others don't. So this person might have a cause that they really care about, or a passion that they hold very dear to their heart that's kind of abstract, maybe a little niche. They do have a tendency to exude, I think, like a serious sense of compassion, but they also have this really playful side to them. They may also be a little bit of a trickster, right? Like we think of raccoons and the masks that they wear. So this person could enjoy playing pranks on others occasionally. I feel like this is somebody who others would be quick to defend, and the people that might take issue with the raccoon person might be individuals who either don't know them very well or who have very difficult times seeing outside of themselves. Like, the strength person might have naysayers, might have individuals in their life who are just like, oh my God, like, the raccoon person is so fake or so vain or just too much of a goody two shoes or whatever. And other people, I think, are going to come and be quick to defend the raccoon person and be like, what are you even talking about? Like, raccoon is just super humble, but like they're in their own vibe. They're just doing their own thing. Like, and they're super kind. Like, just back off. You don't know anything. And I feel like if the raccoon person has any insecurities, they don't necessarily share that. That might be something that they kind of keep to themselves, possibly because I don't know that they really are worried about seeming weak, even though the strength is highlighted in this card. I don't think that they have a fear of seeming weak. I think they have a fear of burdening other people with their own problems. And so any insecurities that they have, they're very likely to keep to themselves unless it's like just kind of an opportune moment where maybe their facade cracks or they're with people that they trust very deeply, where there's been a history of equal give and take. So they know that they're not overstepping any boundaries. I feel like this person is also fairly magnetic. They're very likely somebody who attracts different kinds of attention, and they may downplay it a lot. They could also attract attention of people who have certain perspectives of them that don't really align with who the raccoon person is, but it's just the idea that's been placed upon them by other people. So I could see individuals who maybe haven't had a lot of nurturing in their life, who feel very deeply insecure and don't know how to like value themselves, could be drawn to the raccoon person because they might feel like receiving attention and affection and love and healing from the raccoon person would just kind of heal them overall, but without necessarily putting in their own work, right? So I feel like the raccoon person could potentially attract a lot of unhealed people into their life. They could also attract people who see the playfulness to them, but then also don't take them seriously. People who aren't maybe necessarily connected to deeper emotions and just kind of see the playful, quirky side to the raccoon person, and then kind of feel taken aback if they have to recognize that the raccoon person actually is a very deep and intelligent and thoughtful and aware individual. And so I feel like the raccoon person has really had to be discerning about who they let into their life. And they still sometimes fall into connections where there are unfair expectations placed on them and where they may not feel that they can be their authentic selves. But I also feel like the raccoon person does have a group of people that's like just as quirky and aware as they are. So even though it can be hard to feel like the relationships that we enter into don't value us as much as we desire them to and as they should, I feel like this person also does really have a support system that they can lean on. And in some respects, they and their support system may also be somewhat outcast from society. There might be something a little bit different about them. Maybe it's they're neurodivergent. Maybe it's an interest, a hobby, or like a political view, but there's something that sets them apart from the rest of their community. And sometimes that's something that can be attractive to some people, and sometimes it's something that can be like a repellent to other people. All right, so let's get into person B. We've got abundance. We've got horse. I just really want to make them line up. And we've got the raven. I don't remember what flowers these were for the raccoon. I should have looked it up. Sorry, guys. Borage. So courage, burden of the heart. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So person B is represented. We're going to call them the raven. So I think the raven is also potentially an outcast from society. They may be somebody that people have wary expectations of, because ravens are sometimes seen as negative omens. But the thing about ravens is they are also scavengers. So I think the raven and the raccoon shares some sort of odd connection or interest or tie. So they're also, somebody who kind of like cleans up the messes others have made or cleans up their own mess. The raven is also a very intelligent animal. They are able to identify people who have wronged them. They are able to identify people that have been kind to them. And so this person, I feel like, does kind of have a mental checklist of like their friends and their foes. And with abundance, I think there's somebody who is very goal-oriented. This is somebody who has a very high ambition, a level of ambition. They're probably very competitive, and they have probably always been driven by accomplishments. They're somebody who needs to feel like they are contributing something to the world and that they have claims that demonstrate their capabilities. So this could be somebody who was in a lot of like advanced classes in school. This could be somebody who applied for prestigious scholarships, prestigious programs in university. This could be somebody who has picked up a trade and they've, really tried to master it. This could be somebody who is very aware of the kinds of people that they want in their life, like who's going to benefit them and who isn't. And it could be that this person does look at things like material benefit, right? Like, if I get close to this person, then they can potentially connect me into this community, which can get me into this job. But it could also be that they're just very strict in the kind of people that they allow into their life, because they're like, I'm not here to get stressed out, right? Like, I'm not here for people who are only going to make me feel bad about myself, or who are going to take advantage of me, or who that I have to pander to. So even though this person probably knows a lot of people, they're also probably somebody who only keeps a select few close to them. I feel like this is also a person who would be very quick to cut people out of their life, especially with this Horse card. Like, they have a lot of stubbornness, and they're very quick moving. They're probably somebody who is incredibly impulsive. Somebody who is more likely to pursue something at like a gallop than to walk towards something. It's like when they really put their mind on something, they will race towards it. They don't stop for breaks. They don't pace themselves. This is an individual who really feels like they need what's the word for it? It's not velocity. Momentum. Thank you. They thrive on momentum. This could be somebody who, it's like, if they take a break, they kind of just lose their track of thought, right? They lose their focus. And so there's somebody who is in constant observation. They're observing other people around them. They're observing how people are treating them. They're observing how others are responding to treatment. They're observing the dynamic shifts in relationships, in environments, and even like careers, right? If this person is involved in the stock market, like, they are constantly checking to see where the stocks are at. What are the trends like? What are the trends like in job markets? This is somebody who is very analytical. And they're probably very passionate too. That's what we have with the red rose here. The red rose also talks about longevity. So while this person is very fast moving, they're not somebody who likes to bounce from thing to thing to thing. That may happen sometimes in their life, but they really strive for things that are going to be enduring. So like a career that's enduring, a relationship that's enduring, a home that's enduring. Because at the end of the day, I think they really understand the value of things that are long term. They're not likely to be somebody who throws away, like, gets a new car every couple of years just because the newest model came out. Like, they want something that is reliable and durable. All right, let's see. Trying to figure out. Which one do I want to use? Okay. So we're going to look to see what the raccoon's energy towards the relationship is. Okay, the connection. Okay, so what is the raccoon person's energy towards the connection with the raven. Okay. We're going to do 3 cards here. And the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so the raccoon person wants to reconcile. Okay, so I got 2 scenarios here. Either the raccoon person wants to reconcile with the raven and they want to have a new beginning. They want to have a new foundation started, because especially if the raccoon and the raven have had a connection before, the foundation may have been unstable. And so the raccoon person really wants to start over. They want to take the lessons that they've learned from the past, and they want to be able to kind of throw out whatever didn't work in the past. And they want to utilize anything that did work, implement it into the new beginning, and then add things that they think may also be supportive of a new relationship. It looks like if the 2 of you have been involved in the past, there was a lot of hurt, there was a lot of pain, there was a lot of heartbreak. And the raccoon person has finally gotten to a point where maybe that heartbreak has started to heal. They're in a calmer state of mind. They may feel more balanced, and they're just like, I really want to start over with the raven. For others of you, if this is a new connection or you haven't had a history together, the raccoon person sees the connection with the raven person as being very healing, as something that's kind of like a wish fulfillment, something that there's probably behaviors or situations surrounding the raven that remind the raccoon of things that happened in their past or people in their past, but it's almost like the reverse, right? So, the raven could be the first person to reach out to the raccoon, and the raccoon might go like, oh my God, in every other connection I've had, whether it's friends or family or love interests, I've always had to be the one to reach out. And the raven is actually the one that is putting in that effort now. And so they're feeling very healed by that, which is funny because we talked about like the raccoon is the healer person. The raccoon is the one who is used to being the support system for other people. And now if the 2 of you have not had a connection before, or this person is really new, the raccoon person is like, I've found somebody who gives me what I give to others. And there is this desire to turn that into something solid, to be like, you know what, I really think the raven and I should get to know each other better. I really want to hang out with the raven more, or I really want to start dating the raven more, maybe even become official. But in both scenarios, there's this Queen of Pentacles in reverse. So it's kind of a fear. There's a fear here of the raccoon person losing their groundedness. Especially if this connection has happened in the past. If the raccoon had any kind of like codependency or anxious attachment style kind of behaviors, there's a possibility that the raccoon is like, I really want to invest in the raven again, but I'm scared of history repeating itself. I'm scared of making myself smaller. I'm scared of becoming codependent again. I'm scared of not really being myself. If this connection hasn't happened before, it could be that the raccoon person has been codependent in relationships in the past, or has been with partners who really made them feel small. it could also be, especially if they've been single for quite a while, or maybe like they've had the same friends of groups for such a long time, or they've been a loner for a long time, and all of a sudden they're, trying to reestablish or create a friendship with you, or whatever the case may be. They could be afraid of losing that sense of independence, right? Like she looks like here, I know it's almost like a hula hoop. But it's like she's flexing her arms, right? Like showing off how strong she is. And I think the raccoon person might be a little intimidated to soften up and let the raven person get closer to them. So now we're going to use a different tarot to see what energy the raven has toward the connection with the raccoon. And it's funny because, wow. Okay, so the raccoon is facing this is facing strength. So it's kind of like the raccoon person is focused on her own self, okay? She's looking away from the raven. And please ignore the gender implications here, because like I'm just saying because strength is, you know what, most of these cards are actually women, I think. So the raccoon is looking at itself, turn its back to the raven, and then we've got two horses here, right? So we have this horse that's racing towards abundance, because like look how the abundance card is looking straight up at the horse. So the action it's taking is toward abundance. But then we've got the raven, which is, such a mental figure, right? A figure that's all about clarity and observation, and it's looking towards the raccoon person. So it's kind of like the action is going the opposite way, but they're still keeping an eye on the raccoon person. Ooh, that's good. That's interesting. Okay, so what energy does the raven have towards the connection with the raccoon? So we have the Knight of Pentacles. We have the Ten of Cups in reverse. Ooh, I was actually going to do... And then we have the Sun. I was going to do the influencing cards first before I moved on to the other person, but we're just going to roll with it. Okay. So first and foremost, it does seem like the raven person has an attachment to the connection with the raccoon. We have the Knight of Pentacles, which is all about, it's about putting an effort. It's about work. It's about prosperity. It's about groundedness. What do we have here? Oh, it's like the knight's helmet. He's taken it off. Okay, so it's almost like no longer being in battle, right? So the raven might have been at first a little defensive towards the raccoon person, whether this is like a romantic connection or not. But I feel like they've removed that level of defensiveness. There is a feeling here of wanting to work things out. However, with this Ten of Cups in reverse, there's a strong sense of unhappiness. So that makes sense if this is a connection that has existed beforehand and there was a falling out, right? So it could be that for some of you, this person is just very unhappy with what happened in the past. I think they're a little bit hesitant to come back as well because of whatever may have happened in the past. You know, how do we address that? Am I going to get hurt again? Am I going to hurt this person again? Whatever the situation may have been. It also could be that I think they're feeling unhappy without you. Now, other areas of their life, they may be feeling fairly positive. But in the sense of their connection, whether this is like a lost friend or, and I say you, they're feeling unhappy with the loss of the raccoon. Because even like there's this void in their relationships where I think they feel like things were different with the raccoon. Like they were my best friend, they really got me, or it was like a love I didn't have like any other. We've got the sun as well. So this is an interesting sun card because it shows like, and look, this bird is flying to the raven with roses. Why are you getting so many roses, Raven? This card in this deck always makes me feel like a somber kind of sun, right? Like the sun is the most positive card in the deck. And this one, there's always a little bit of hint of sadness to me because this bird is flying in the rain, right? So it seems like they're kind of coming out of a deep period of mourning. And if this is a connection that has been broken, they do have a sense of hope that things will be rekindled, that things will be reestablished. I'm trying to think about how this applies. Like, oh, okay. This could also be if this is like a new person. They could also have similar fears of like the raccoon reminds them of someone from their past. Or they're just simply afraid of like putting themselves out there. Like maybe if they've been rejected by friends or lovers in the past, you know, they're kind of scared to put themselves in a vulnerable position again. So I want to see what this Knight of Pentacles is about. This Knight of Pentacles. So this, we've got the Tower here with the Two of Wands. So this could indicate two things for me, group number one. Either the Raven is planning on how to repair the connection if there has been a loss. They could be kind of planning to unexpectedly re-enter the connection. But I feel like what this is also saying is reflecting on is that either circumstances unjustly came in between the two of you, or that meeting you or getting as close to you as they have could have been very, I keep saying you, I'm sorry. The Raven, scrap the whole reading. It's ruined. But the Raven could see the raccoon entering their life as kind of like a tower moment too, where maybe their plans feel like they have to significantly change. The abundance person does seem like somebody who has a very strict idea of where they want to go in life, or like who they want to be. And so meeting the raccoon could have really derailed their confidence in the plan that they had developed. I just saw 3303. So what I want to do next is Like maybe they were planning, for some of you, if this person was planning on moving, and they met you, whether as like a love interest or like a friend, that could have potentially changed their mind, where they're like, I don't know if I want to move anymore, or I don't know if I want to leave this job anymore. Okay, and so in some situations, if this is more platonic or a relationship where maybe there hasn't been anything negative between the two of you, they could all of a sudden, having met you, see hope after this difficult time, right? Of you're the thing that could, or the raven could see the raccoon as being the thing that offers them light in the darkness, offers them happiness in a situation where they were very unhappy. So what's the biggest influence in the raccoon's energy? Mars. Okay, so this is all about taking action. This person is very much in an action-oriented frame of mind. They, especially with the Strength card, right? They may feel like in order to progress this connection or to repair it, they may have to take initiative. This also could be indicating that this connection just really makes them want to take initiative. Like, even if this is just a friend situation, the raccoon could be like, I really do just want to hang out with the raven so much. Like, I want to get to know them. I want to go out for coffee with them. I want to send memes to them. So they could be changing from a point of like being somebody who may be more passive and in their head to being somebody who is more focused and more driven and wanting to be more active. And then what's the biggest influence in the raven's energy? Okay, we've got retrograde. Hell yeah, it is. Retrograde and review with Aquarius and collaborate. So this person is really thinking on partnerships and friendships from the past. It could be, like I said, that the raccoon reminds the raven of somebody or of people from their past. Whether it's in a way where it's like, I'm scared that the raccoon person is just going to turn out to be like other people. It could also be that they're like, the raccoon really reminds me of like my best childhood friend or my uncle who passed away, or like the cool boss that I had 10 years ago. It could also be, especially if this is a connection where you guys have been close at one point, but there may have been a separation for whatever reason, they're really reflecting on the relationship itself, and very likely the positive ways in which you interacted. So like, guys, I give up. I don't give up. I never give up. But they're probably reflecting on the positive ways that they interacted with the raccoon, especially like if the raccoon was able to support them emotionally or mentally, somebody who was kind to them. They could be focusing on the heavier stuff, but with the Sun card here, I feel like mostly it would be on anything positive that existed in the connection. So now we're just going to get some advice. And you know what? I'm going to get advice for the raccoon and for the raven, because if you're here this long, you're one or the other. So what's the universe's advice for the raccoon? I am safe in the universe, and all life loves and supports me. I breathe in the fullness and richness of life. I observe with joy as life abundantly supports me and supplies me with more good than I can imagine. Absolutely. So especially if there's any like fears about this connection, the raccoon is just really encouraged to have a positive thought process about how they are being supported and loved. Especially with this like Queen of Pentacles in reverse. You know, maybe this is somebody who has felt like they've had to give in order to be worthy of receiving. And the universe is encouraging them to just like remember your value exists because of you inherently existing. Like, what other people think of you or how other people think of you or what they do to you is not an indicator of your worth. And it's important to see your worth beyond the actions of others. And also just to like try to enter into a more positive mind frame of like, people love me, they accept me. Whether, you know, they're looking for more friends or whether they're looking for a romantic partner. There was something I heard, which was like somebody who lived their life thinking people were always talking badly about them until they realized like most people aren't even paying attention. And so they just decided to assume that everybody was thinking positive things about them, and it really just kind of shifted their mentality. So what advice does the universe have for the Raven? The universe totally supports every thought I choose to think and believe. I have unlimited choices about what I think. I choose balance, harmony, and peace, and I express it in my life. Every thought I think is creating my future. So this person could have felt or could feel like their life is currently not in harmony, or that may have been a constant struggle for them. And so the universe is really guiding them to like manage their thoughts. If they're thinking negatively, they're more likely to focus on the negative things, right? And that they're not pigeonholed by their circumstances. This person may feel like they're kind of held captive by life around them at this point in time, but they have more autonomy than what they're choosing to understand right now. And so the universe is really guiding them to like open your perspective and understand that you have more control over your situation, especially in your thought process, and realize that like the universe is not conspiring against you. Like the universe wants you to be abundant and successful. And so maybe that's been like a problem with them really connecting with the raccoon, is maybe they were afraid of being limited, or maybe they were focusing on like stress that happened, you know, in the relationship or friendship at some point. And the universe is just saying like, you know, balance your life. Balance is key. And like, you're not held captive by anything outside of yourself. So group number 1, I hope this reading resonated with you. If it did, please let me know how in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to be a part of the family and haven't done so, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. I am available for personal readings. If you're interested, go ahead and find my contact information in the description box down below. Send me an email and I'll send you a list of my services. Bye. Hi there, group number 2. You chose the Tiger's Eye Stone, so this will be your energy check-in reading for you and another person. So we're going to start by reading the energies of the 2 people involved. Person A is intended to represent you, but if you identify more with person B, that is completely acceptable. So let's start with one side. We have the Bear. We have Jury. And we have Beauty. So first, I would say this person potentially has some significant Libra placements, like their sun, their rising, maybe their Venus. Um, this is somebody who does try to maintain a balance in their life, so much so that they potentially overindulge in it. I feel like this person may hyperfixate on aesthetics or on equality in situations, but it could be simply because either they're like more of a people pleaser, or they grew up in a household where either control was a big thing within their family, or they may not have felt like they had control within their family. This is definitely somebody who has some sort of elegance about them. It could be the way that they talk, the way that they dress, the features of their face. And overall, I feel like this is somebody who also knows how to make situations that are beautiful. This could be somebody who is very much into some sort of crafting, like maybe they design clothes, or they really excel at like interior design. They could have a personal business like on Etsy, where they sell goods that they've made, or they could be involved in like cosmetology, or they're doing like hair and makeup. And they're constantly vigilant, right? We've got jury here with this bear card. Now, the bear in and of itself can talk about strength and durability, but I notice how the bear is open-mouthed, almost as if it's in a roar. And so this is somebody who I think does have a strong sense of right and wrong. They have a very firm moral compass, and they may be quick to step up and correct people when they think people are treating others poorly, or even if there's nobody who's like harmed, if they're watching somebody do a process, right? And they feel that the process should be different than what the individual is doing, they could come in and try to correct that. This might be the type of person who is a little bit, okay, this is going to be a pun. I don't mean for it to be, but they could be a little bit overbearing and controlling. But I think it comes out of an attempt to help others, right? This person, I think, is always imagining how we can improve, how things can be more efficient, how they can be more attractive and accessible. So I could even see this person potentially being in marketing. They could be somebody who has children, especially since I'm thinking of Mama Bear, and they could be like a very protective parent. Now, the flower here is called Jimson weed, and that talks about a rite of passage. So they could be going through something in their life where they're kind of being introduced into a new phase of their life. Like this person, the bear could be, a new adult, right? Experiencing college. They could be going through purchasing their first home. Could be getting married. They could be in a period of their life where they're in retirement. Just feels like there's something that they have, that they're going through right now, that is a significant mile marker in their life. I feel like this person really remembers the finer details about people, and they almost have a memory that is like perfected when it comes to maybe like the smaller details of a person's life. Like this is a kind of person who may be very close with their neighbors, or is a good source of information, like if they were part of like a neighborhood watch. They're the kind of person who's going to know if there's a car in the neighborhood that really looks out of place, or if someone was going to be on vacation for 5 days and they should have been home by now. And I feel like they could be quite strong in ways that an individual may not expect. Like they might be somebody who looks frail, or petite, or unassuming, but they may actually have a strength or a stamina that exceeds expectations, and it's something that they could potentially use to their advantage, right? Like this might be the person who offers to walk other people home at night because, like, even though they look like they would be an easy target, they're like, no, I know how to F someone up. Like, I've got my tools with me, or like I'm a black belt, or, I took self-defense classes. And so they could be the person who really is ready to get involved in a fight for the right reason. Like they know how to defend themselves, and they're willing to be the kind of like the shield for other people who might not have the same awareness and the same set of skills that they do. They may have grown up in an environment that was very harsh or very demanding of them. And even if they've slipped into a lifestyle, or they've created a lifestyle for themselves where they are able to be more relaxed and more polished, there's still this kind of warrior energy within them. Like this is somebody who may have like a lake house, right? But they could still go to the rough neighborhood and reconnect with old friends. And they're not the kind of person, I think, who would ever think that they're better than someone else. They're more the type of person who's like, yeah, I've been where you're at. I know how hard it is. And I worked my ass to get off where I was, But I could see them also being a type of person who would go back and help that community, or help other communities where maybe there were struggles of like poverty or violence, or like needing maintenance or whatever. Like they're a person who, even if they look very elegant and frou-frou, maybe they aren't afraid to like get their hands dirty. Okay, so then we'll get to person B. We have adventure. We have house. And we have the deer. So first, one thing I want to point out is that the bear is a predator animal, right? And the deer is a prey animal. And that could somehow play a part in the connection between these two individuals. Whether it's, I guess we'll have to see more about what the energy connection is. Like what the feeling that each party has. But either it could be that this individual may be somebody that there's resentment towards, Otherwise, I do also feel like this could potentially, the deer person could be somebody that the bear person feels like they may have to protect. Kind of makes me think of, what was it? There was like a cheetah or some type of wild cat that adopted an antelope or some sort. And a lot of people thought like the cheetah was just keeping it around until it was hungry. But the cheetah actually defended this baby antelope from other predators and never harmed it. The baby antelope, I think, it ended up dying because like the cheetah didn't have the skills to care for it properly. But it was an unlikely pair, right? And so the energy with person B, we'll call them the deer. This is somebody who also has like their own level of elegance. Like deers are kind of majestic creatures. They're slim, they're sleek, they know how to jump pretty far, they know how to run fast. And so there's, oh, what is it? I'm also thinking of the Crescent City series where there's a character like she's basically like an assassin, but her animal form, where she could turn herself into an animal, and it's like this beautiful white deer. It's kind of what I'm thinking of too. Deers do also get kind of a bad rap for being a little bit dumb or easily startled. So this might be a person who people kind of see as being airheaded, or somebody who might not necessarily be the strongest candidate in a crisis situation. But the deer are quite hardy animals. And we have, it's like worlds, what is it? What's it called? Globe thistle, which is independence and nobility. It's interesting that we have house here as well as adventure, because an adventurous spirit is one that makes me think of like leaving home constantly, right? This may be somebody who is very interested in traveling. I think they have a spunk to them, or they just like doing new things. They like learning new things. And they may be a little bit of a thrill seeker. But on the same token, there's this certain level of stability that they really crave. They could be somebody who really likes to have these new experiences, get out of their comfort zone for a little while, but then return home, return to something stable. I could also see this as somebody who people may see as very spontaneous, and somebody who is full of excitement and maybe unpredictable, but there's a level of stability that they do have. There's a groundedness that they do have at the very core of them. They have all of the pillars of their needs met, and that's kind of what allows them to be spontaneous. It's not like a level of chaotic spontaneity, right? Like there are some people who are just really adventurous and outgoing, and it's like kind of nothing in their life is settled. I feel like this person does have a very stable footing, and so they can have these exciting moments, but they are also somebody who is very aware of themselves, very grounded, and is able to have like the serious conversations that are needed. This could be somebody who does kind of come from wealth or does have a level of financial success, especially since we talk about the deer being representative of nobility. They could be very well a homeowner and somebody who likes to go out on vacations, likes to go on trips. So let's now look at the energy each person has towards the connection. Okay. So what energy does the bear have towards the connection with the deer? We have the Two of Cups in reverse. We have the Star in reverse. Now for each person, I put 3 cards out and we embellish as we needed to. And we have the 8 of Cups in reverse. So the bear seems to have, I would say, a very stubborn energy towards this connection. There's a feeling of not wanting to budge, not wanting to maybe give the deer the upper hand or the benefit of the doubt or forgiveness or whatever the situation may be. It looks like the bear and the deer are probably not talking, or they're not on very good terms. And the Star in reverse tells me that the bear doesn't really see a way of moving past that. And they're not, with the 8 of Cups in reverse, they're not going to budge. The bear is feeling very prideful about something. And they're feeling that, I want to get more information about what this 2 of Cups in reverse is about. The Queen of Pentacles. So I wonder if the bear feels like something is owed to them. What's the Star in reverse? We've got the Emperor. Okay, why the 8 of Cups in reverse? The 2 of Pentacles in reverse. Very interesting. So I would say the bear has this belief that the deer needs to step into some sort of power. It could be personal power. I feel like maybe the bear feels as if the deer needs to take power within the connection. For some of you, the bear may feel that the deer wronged them, whether it was like something that was owed to them or something that was taken from them. Just a feeling of trust that was lost. For others of you, it may feel like the bear feels as if they taught the deer some things, like how to stand up for themselves, how to hold themselves to a higher regard, and maybe the deer just hasn't accepted that role. They haven't taken the actions necessary to embody those qualities. But whatever it is, the bear isn't moving, because what the bear feels is that there isn't stability. The scales, oh sorry, that's my hair tie. The scales are just too imbalanced, almost as if, the bear is saying, like, I'm not coming forward until the deer has righted the wrong, or I'm not coming forward until the deer puts in more effort, or there's nothing more I can teach the deer, just depending on what the circumstance is, and the connection between the two of you. This could even be like a parent and a child situation, right? Where the bear might feel as if, like, okay, it's time for the deer to spread their wings and fly. Like, they need to gain some independence. I just feel like this pile could deal with a lot of different possibilities. Okay, so how does the deer feel about this connection? Like, what's their energy toward this connection? Wow, we got the star in reverse here too. And the King of Pentacles in reverse. And then the Eight of Cups. Holy crap, guys. Holy crap. That is so crazy. We've gotten the Eight of Cups twice. The Star in reverse twice. And then we have a King of Pentacles here and the Queen of Pentacles here. So there are some similarities, right? Right off of the bat. Both of these energies are looking at the situation with disheartenment. The deer is mirroring that sense of hopelessness. The sense of feeling like there's no repairing, or that they can't achieve the same level of success that the bear is expecting of them. They don't have the strength necessarily. Like, so this is somebody who is definitely feeling frail. The King of Pentacles in reverse tells me that the deer feels that either the connection itself doesn't have a strong enough foundation. And remember, it seems like an individual who does prioritize having a foundation, even though they're open to exploring, and they do like adventure and excitement and expansion, but they need a foundation first and foremost. And so the deer may feel like the connection with the bear doesn't have as strong of a foundation as what they need. Conversely, it could also be that the deer feels as if maybe they don't have the resources to take the kind of action, or to provide the kind of support that the bear is expecting. Now, the deer person could absolutely be somebody who is kind of used to being treated as a victim, or as somebody who was weak or naive or something. And they may never have felt like they were able to grow beyond that, or maybe they didn't have an interest in growing beyond that. This could even be that this kind of connection requires them to harness a different kind of strength than what they're used to, and so they don't feel well equipped for this. And at this point, because they don't see themselves as somebody who is able to either find the stability in this connection, they don't feel like maybe it's going to offer them what they need, or conversely, that they can't offer this connection what the bear needs. They are feeling the energy of like, okay, it's time to wash my hands clean. Like, I don't feel I'm equipped for this. I don't feel that I can be given what I need. So at the end of the day, I'm turning my tail on it, and I'm choosing to walk in the other direction. Try not to burn myself here. So let's see what some of, like, what the influences are for these energies. Okay, what's influencing the bear's energy of the connection with the deer? Descendant with invitation, and then Virgo with digest. But they were in reverse. They feel blocked. They feel that there's something that's been neglected that hasn't been received by the deer. And they're kind of at this point where they're like, okay, if the deer cannot commit to this, if they can't offer this, if they can't grow in this respect, there's nothing more that I can do. This seems like the bear does seem like somebody who wants the connection with the deer, but they have a certain level of standards as to what kind of connection they'll have, and what they expect of the deer. It's kind of like, I can't help those who won't help themselves. Like, if the deer is not willing to help itself, or if the deer is not willing to show dedication and commitment to this, then that's just it. Like, I've gone as far as I can go. And so I feel like if the deer were able to step up to the challenge, whether that would be for self-improvement or towards making an effort to this connection, I feel like the bear would accept them back into their life or back into the connection, because I really don't feel like these are like people who are talking, really. But without the deer confronting that issue, the bear is just gone cold. They're just like, no, I know, I'm not engaging with this. It's foolishness. That's what I keep thinking. Like, it's foolishness. So what's influencing the deer's energy to the connection with the bear? Eighth house. Mystery. Which is interesting. You wouldn't think that something mysterious would really deter the deer because they like adventure. But I feel like the mystery here with whatever the connection entails with the bear is something that makes them feel like they don't have enough control. They might like regulated adventure, right? Things that they can anticipate, where it's like they can see the bottom of the chasm, or they can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like they don't really know what's going to come in between there, but they know where it ends and how it ends. They can retreat back into the safety of their home. There's something about the connection with the bear where they can't see the ending. They can't feel that safety net, right? And whether that's the safety net of like, I don't know where the connection with the bear is going to go. I don't feel grounded enough with the bear, or whether that's like the bear is pushing me to like grow independently and become a stronger version of myself, and I don't really know what that looks like. So they're really retreating into things that are more comfortable for them, that are more secure and that are familiar to them. So yeah, it's literally like a deer in the headlights. Now we're going to see what advice the universe has for each side. So advice for the bear. Each moment of the day is special to me as I follow my higher instincts and listen to my heart. I am at peace with my world and affairs. I am deeply fulfilled by all that I do. If the bear is feeling any frustration for the deer's resistance to taking action or personal growth, the universe is really encouraging the bear to get, to come to peace with it, right? Like, nobody can force the deer to do anything, just like nobody can force the bear to do anything. Even if something is for the deer's higher good, if they're not willing to do it for themselves, the bear has to try to relinquish that control. And find enjoyment in other aspects of their life. It could even be an invitation to repair these things, to prepare things with the deer. Whether it's because the two of these aren't talking, or whether it's just been very awkward, where maybe the bear comes to the deer and is a little bit lighter on them, is a little bit easier on them. Because maybe the deer just isn't ready to take this kind of action, or maybe the deer isn't ready to grow in this way. It doesn't mean that the deer never will. But if the bear is too stubborn, it really could fracture this connection beyond repair. And so it might be time for the bear to extend some grace to the deer and acknowledge that, like, if the deer gets to a point where they feel comfortable doing this, then they will. So for the deer, we have everything is working out for my highest good. Out of this situation, only good will come. I am safe. All is well in my world. Oh, God, isn't that heavy? Like, literally what we were talking about is how the deer is feeling uncertain about their security, right? And so it could be, now I don't want, if you're the bear, I don't want you to get in your head about this and be like, I'm going to show this to the deer and make them see I'm right. But it could be that, the deer is being encouraged, like, it's okay to be scared to do something, but this really is in the deer's highest good to either try to repair this relationship with the bear, or to personally grow, and, you know, find ways to kind of accommodate their insecurities and their fear. Like, you know, there's a mantra. Like, if there are mantras that the deer can say to themselves, like, oh my God, thinking of, what was it? We were just talking about Crescent City, where there's that little fire sprite and she's about to confront an enemy and she keeps repeating the phrase. It's a longer phrase, but it boils down to, towards the end, the more intense the situation gets, where she's like, my friends are behind me and I am not afraid. My friends are behind me and I am not afraid. You know, or working on techniques that deal with, like, what is it? Like breath work, or other meditative practices, or like that technique where it's like you try to slowly feel every part of your body from top to bottom, just to bring you back into awareness. Or like the, you know, tell me 5 things that you see, 4 things that you hear, 3 things that you smell, you know, whatever. And just things that can kind of help them with their insecurities, and maybe if they have any like issues with sensory overload. So group number 2, I hope that this reading was helpful. If it was, please let me know how in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to be a part of the family and haven't done so, you can hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. And if you'd like to be a part of, if you would like a personal reading with me, my contact information is in the description box down below. Just send me an email and I'll send you a list of my services. All right, bye. Hello, group number 3, you chose the Dragon's Blood, and this will be your energy check-in reading. We're going to start off with defining the 2 individuals involved, and the intention is that you resonate with person A, but if you resonate more with person B, that's totally fine. So, person A, we have Faith, we have Dog, and we have the Blue Jay. Okay. So we're going to start by calling person A the Blue Jay. This is somebody who may have a beautiful voice. Group number 3, somebody who may like to sing. They could be an individual who is more of a morning person. And I feel like a certain sense of serene calmness with them. Blue Jays are supposed to represent truth, and then I think this is called the mum, is with loyalty. So I feel like this is somebody, especially since we have faith involved, this could be somebody who is religious or has a spirituality, or they just have faith in the way that the world works, or faith in themselves. I would see this as somebody who probably has a lighthearted, calm spirit to them. It's interesting that we have 2 birds right here, and this bird is kind of shrouded in shadow. So this person, I feel like, could have a psychic connection. Birds could be an omen for them, or like a symbol, a spirit guide. But it's just kind of like they have this ability to see through illusions and have a sense for the root of truth. And there's somebody with the dog who I think is very loyal. They're kind of like they enjoy companionship. They enjoy spending time with friends and families. I think this is an individual who would be very friendly. They value people who are honest. Even when it comes to, and especially when it comes to difficulties that involve themselves, right? Like this is a person who I feel doesn't really find much interest in individuals who are fake or put up a front, a mask. They might tolerate them. I feel like this could potentially be a person who, unless circumstances maybe extreme, can kind of set aside critiques and criticisms of individuals who are a little less honest about who they are, or who are ignoring certain truths, so long as it doesn't violate the moral compass of the Blue Jay. Because I think they also kind of understand that people are just doing their best to get through life. And sometimes individuals have to kind of dissociate from their traumas or from their negative qualities just to be able to function properly. I feel like the faith person has a very strong sense of dedication. When there's something that they commit themselves to, they don't sway easily from that commitment. And they're probably somebody who's very good at sniffing out opportunities, right? They have a very strong sense of guidance, a very strong intuition. And even when things seem to be going in the wrong direction, or there may be confusion in a situation how it will turn out, I think the faith person still can be very optimistic. They still have this trust that they're on the right path and that a solution will arise, whether it's because they're able to figure it out or because of external circumstances shifting in a way that is favorable. This person could be somebody who is part of like an organized religion or like a coven. I think they're also just very gentle. Seeing the dog here, I think of two things. First, there's what's it called? I want to say it's an Irish lore, but I could be wrong about that. Where, the black dog is kind of a symbol of death. So I feel like the Blue Jay is an individual who is able to approach situations that may be painful for other people. They're able to approach that with a level of gentleness, right? So this could easily be somebody who works in like hospice, or a field where maybe they have to deliver bad news to people, but they're able to do it in a way that's comforting and is humanizing and is very personable. And this could just be a trait that the Blue Jay has outside of their career. I also think of the dog. I'm thinking of the His Dark Materials series, where, if you're not familiar with that, oh my God, go check it out. It's by Philip Pullman. But there's an alternate universe where people's souls manifest outside of their body and take the shape of animals. And as a child, those animals tend to change, but as adults, they settle into a permanent form. And a lot of times, a person's what they call demon, which is their soul, can be a glimpse into their character, right? So people who have a dog as their demon companion are oftentimes like in hospitality, or they're kind of like civil servants. And so I feel like this is somebody who really knows how to console people. They could even be like a religious leader, right? Somebody who goes in and offers like counseling services, or maybe even not a religious counselor, but or like reading like the deathbed rites. But they do have a very steady and calming presence about them. There's almost something unwavering about the Blue Jay group number 3 that I think makes people feel really uncomfortable. Makes people feel really comfortable. There may be some people who are uncomfortable with the Blue Jay for the fact that they may not have as strong a foundation of like faith. Like they may not have a strong sense of who they are or their place in the world. And so the fact that the Blue Jay is able to maintain that confidence could be unsettling for some people. Now we'll look at person B. We have divine timing. We have driving. And we have the moth. So one thing that's interesting about the Blue Jay and the moth is, once again, this is another scenario where we have two characters who are represented by predator and prey. But with the moth, we have wolfsbane, right? So that talks about a plant that's a little bit dangerous. If consumed, it can lead to poisoning and thus death. And moths are often about change. They're about messages. In the book, the Luna moth represents the soul, and wolfsbane can represent caution and death, misanthropy. But overall, it also talks about like resurrection and decay. So I feel like the moth person also has a sense of confidence. This is somebody who I feel is very intentional and they're action oriented. I don't feel that they necessarily move at the fastest pace, but the moth is an individual who has a goal and they will pursue it. And when there are setbacks, they are not turned away by them. They have a strong sense of like what they wants them to. It's just a matter of timing. The moth person may have struggles with a little bit of an ego. Where I feel like the Blue Jay person has a little bit more humility to them. I feel like the moth person holds themselves to a fairly high regard. And sometimes that puts them in a position where they drive around in circles. The moth person may not always see when they're repeating cycles, and they may not always know when it's time to exit stage left. There's a story that they've really told themselves, and they wholeheartedly believe in it, which I think at times has really benefited the moth. But sometimes they get stuck in loops and they don't recognize, like I said, that they're repeating the same patterns. This is somebody who I feel like, because of their ego, could have caused some tower moments in other people's lives. And the moth didn't necessarily know that it was as a result of their actions. This could be an individual who isn't very perceptive about things that are outside of their own reality. And because they're so focused on their own success, they don't realize the impact that they have on others. This could be somebody that people are drawn to a lot. But the closer other people get, the more wary they become of the moth. But I don't think like the moth is a bad person. I think that at times the moth can be an individual that's brought into other people's lives to teach them lessons of really like standing up for themselves, maybe adopting some of the confidence that the moth has. But the moth is also somebody who could benefit from learning lessons as well. Learning to be more sympathetic, learning to be more empathic, learning to be more emotionally intelligent and observant. And I think it's just been really hard for the moth to even recognize that those lessons are presenting themselves, because the moth doesn't understand that there are things in its life or in its reality that need growth and need change. So let's get into feelings of the connection, like energy towards the connection. So we'll start with the blue jay. And what I've been doing is I will draw 3 cards to describe the energy of each person towards the connection. And if I feel that I need to draw more for embellishment, then I do so. I chose two nature, like wildlife themed decks just because I felt like it was appropriate, and they're just so beautiful. So what's the blue jay's energy towards the connection? Okay, we have the 6 of Wands. The King of Swords. And the 8 of Swords. So there is a feeling of accomplishment here when it comes to this connection. I will delve a little bit more into it, but I'm getting a couple of scenarios. The blue jay person may feel that something that they have said or done has kind of gotten through to the moth. The blue jay could have seen themselves as being an example in a moment where the moth could have practiced like empathy or self-awareness, or maybe they felt in the connection that there was a moment where something they said, just like how they expressed themselves, really clicked with the moth. In other situations, I feel like maybe this was either a connection where the blue jay was feeling like maybe it wouldn't work out, but now there's this feeling of like, okay, things are going well between the moth and I. The struggles that we've had in the past are being overcome, and we're able to move forward. Otherwise, if this is a connection where the blue jay really struggled to detach from the moth for whatever reason, They may feel like they've gotten to a point where they've been able to overcome that. The Blue Jay is feeling very analytical when it comes to the connection with the Moth. It's represented by the King of Swords here. Like, that's the top of the crop, right? The cream of the crop. They feel like they've gained a higher perspective, and I think they are analyzing their behaviors and the behaviors of the Moth person. Whether this is a connection that's like in union, in contact, or not in contact. But there's something that's eluded, I think, the Blue Jay, that they're kind of concerned about. It could be that they're concerned that maybe they overestimated their impact on the Moth person, that maybe the Moth person really isn't going to get it or is going to fall into old patterns of behavior. The Blue Jay could be feeling concerned about, well, I do think that this connection has the ability to work out and everything seems to be going well, but I'm just not sure if it's going to continue to progress forward, or else they may still feel, if this is a situation where there's like no contact, or they're not in union, they still could feel like bound by the Moth, and I think that would be a little unsettling for the Blue Jay person, because I feel like they're kind of the kind of individual who is used to being able to release expectations and release attachments. And if this is a situation where there's still an attachment in play, the Blue Jay could really be feeling like unnerved by that. Like, what is it about the Moth person that's got me this twisted, right? That's got me disconnected to them. We'll see if we can get any more information about how the Blue Jay is feeling about this connection. Okay, so we've got the Five of Swords with the Fool. And we're clarifying the Six of Wands. So that is feeling an accomplishment over a new start, right? And that's an accomplishment of like either helping the Moth person start a fresh perspective, helping the Moth person to understand the value of this connection and giving it a shot, or like understanding the Blue Jay's perspective, or even like starting fresh without the Moth person. So the Blue Jay has really felt like they have had to kind of put up arms towards the Moth and really get a little feisty, whether it's to kind of break down the Moth's ego, come into union with them, or separate from them. What's this Eight of Swords about, though? Okay, we've got the Four of Pentacles in reverse, the Knight of Wands in reverse, and the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so the Blue Jay is kind of having a moment where, like, they feel if they're not actively paying attention to this situation, that all their hard work is going to be for nothing. That either the Moth is going to repeat old patterns independently, or that if this is like a connection where the two of you are like in union or in contact, that if the Blue Jay kind of releases control, the Moth person isn't going to put forth the effort. Or even if like the Blue Jay is trying to detach, there could be a fear of, if they let go of that focus of detaching, then they feel like they might unravel. Also, conversely, they could be afraid that if they start to detach, that the Moth person isn't going to return. So let's see what we get for the Moth energy towards the connection. What is the moth's energy towards the connection? Oh, we've got the Ace of Wands upright with Justice. Okay, that's the, oh God. Moth, y'all got too much to say. We'll get to any commentaries after we get the main energy. Okay, but we got the Six of Pentacles in reverse. So the moth person does feel kind of like a moth to a flame, right? The moth person does feel a connection with the blue jay, and they may even feel inspired by the blue jay. Like, so if the two of you are in connection with each other, you're like, duh, Amber, like, of course the moth feels a connection to the blue jay because, like, we're together. If this is a situation where the two of you are, like, in contact and everything, or in union, what the Ace of Wands means is that the moth is feeling ignited. Like, they are feeling a spark of passion, of motivation. So this is a connection where the blue jay has put a lot of effort into it. The moth wants to follow suit. They want to be able to also contribute. If this is a connection that's been in separation, where you guys are in no contact, or you're just not together, the moth still feels connected to the blue jay. They feel very drawn to the blue jay. They want to reignite something. They want a new beginning. They want creativity and passion between them and the blue jay. I'm stuck on this Justice card though, right? Because the moth also seems to be... Okay, so if this is a situation where the blue jay and the moth are connected somehow, they're in contact, they're in union, whatever the situation, whether as lovers or friends or whatnot, the moth wants to do things correctly. They really want to be somebody who is fair and reliable, dependable, grounded. But with the Six of Pentacles in reverse, they may not feel that they have the resources. This is somebody who may have been sheltered and removed from accountability a lot of their lifetime, and they don't know what an example of this looks like. Because they haven't watched really the people around them. They haven't looked to notice how other people hold themselves in life. The moth has only ever really been concerned with its own agendas and its own gains. There is a desire, though, that they have to be able to connect differently with the blue jay than they've ever connected with anybody else. But they're really stuck. They do not know how to do that. For others of you, especially if this is a situation that's no contact or you're not in union, I'm getting a different read on this. So while they want to reconnect with the blue jay, they're stuck on this sense of justice, right? To me, it's this energy of, well, the blue jay did this, or the blue jay said that, or like, I need to do what's best for me. I need to take care of my own needs, or I shouldn't have to do this. And to a certain extent, okay, we can understand that, right? Like, a person does need to take care of their own needs before they can really take care of anybody else's. But I feel like in this situation, the Blue Jay has probably extended so much of themselves that it's not whatever would create harmony between these two. It's not asking too much of the moth. In fact, the Blue Jay is probably asking the bare minimum of the moth. And the moth is like, sorry, nah, can't do it. Can't do it. And so the Six of Pentacles in reverse is once again like, I don't have the resources to exert to this. I don't feel that I can extend any energy and still have any left for myself. Let's see if there's any other information we can get about the moth's energy. The Five of Cups. So if this is a situation where the two of you are like in union or in contact, I feel like what the Five of Cups can represent is a fear of being abandoned or being left behind, right? And that might be one of the few times that the moth person has ever had that kind of concern. Like there's a value that they have for the Blue Jay where they're like, if I don't figure this shit out, like I'm going to lose the Blue Jay. For others of you where this is like a connection that's not in contact or you're just not in union with each other, even though they're having this stubborn energy of like, I need to do what's best for me and I don't have any to give, they and it's almost kind of like they're frustrated with the Blue Jay for having expectations. They are still feeling mournful that they've lost this connection or that it's not the same type of connection that it used to be. So it's kind of like they want their cake, they want to be able to eat it too, right? They want to make their bed, but they don't want to have to lie in it. So let's get influencing factors for both sides. Because sometimes this can just help us understand a person's perspective a little bit better. And I mean, then we can do with that information whatever it is that we want, right? So what's an influencing factor for the Blue Jay's energy? Okay, we have Sagittarius with expand, but it was in reverse. So I feel like with the Blue Jay, they just felt like there was nothing more that they could teach the moth, or they're feeling frustrated because it's not expanding. Maybe the moth isn't learning, isn't taking initiative. There's no growth, right? And so it's kind of like the Blue Jay is having to reassess the situation and maybe even pull back their energy. I think this is a point where regardless of if this is a connection where the two of you are in union or in contact or separated, no contact, that the Blue Jay is kind of having to be like, I've kind of done all that I could do. And I have to let the moth figure it out a little bit more. Or maybe I have to reassess like how I can approach the situation differently. Or maybe I need to put this connection in the past because it's really not going anywhere. So what's a contributing factor to the moth's energy? We've got card number 13 with dignified and strength. So they are holding on. It could be that they're holding on to old ideals. If this is a connection that's in union or in contact, they're definitely trying to hold on to the Blue Jay person, because I think that they are afraid of losing them. Like, this might be, as I said, the first time that they've really been afraid to lose somebody, and also really the first time where maybe they realize, like, shit, I need to grow up a little bit. And so there could be a sense of, like, codependency that the moth is experiencing, where they're like, you know, the Blue Jay's the only person who can help me with this. Like, or the Blue Jay's the only one who's worth doing this for. Now, that can be, especially, like, if this is what you want to hear, like, that's nice. But also, you can't, if you are the Blue Jay, the moth person hasn't gotten to a point where they are thinking critically, right? Like, they're still depending on you to do the labor for them. This might be a time for you to really encourage them taking in different resources, like books, podcasts, classes, whatever it is, for them to kind of have different resources to use for improvement. Because if they're just relying on you, that can be very emotionally taxing, right? As much as you may want to help. Otherwise, if you're the moth person, that's my suggestion, is look for different resources, because the Blue Jay is only going to be able to offer you a finite amount of information and energy. And if you exhaust that, that could deeply harm the connection. So if you can expand your intel, if you can expand your resources, you know, that takes a lot of pressure off of the Blue Jay, and it helps you gain more independence. Anyway, I think there's still, you know, there's the strength of old ideals, right? Like, the older we get, the harder it is to change. It's not impossible, but it is significantly more different, because we've just been more consistent in our patterns and behaviors. Experiences have reaffirmed beliefs for us, and our personality has developed more. And so understand that the moth is really trying to work against themselves, right? Like, if they are going to change, if they are going to grow and adjust, then they are really working. They're going to have to work hard against established beliefs and personality traits and behaviors. If this is a situation that's in separation, once again, I think they're very much holding on to their pride, but there is also a part of them that is holding on to this connection, even though they probably aren't going to be the person to reach out, or at least not reach out for a while. Even if they're stubborn, thinking they haven't done anything wrong, or the Blue Jay was expecting too much of them, there's also this desire to reconnect with the Blue Jay. They're also holding on to, you know, the feelings that they had when the Blue Jay was embodying the kind of energy that the moth really craved. And I think it is creating kind of like a mental tug of war for them. Like, either they can have the Blue Jay or they can have their old patterns, but they can't have both. So we're going to get into some advice for both sides. So what advice do we have for the Blue Jay? Okay. It is my birthright to live fully and freely. I give to life exactly what I want life to give to me. I am glad to be alive. I love life. I love life. So I will say this for the Blue Jay. I feel like this is a call to put more focus into other areas of the Blue Jay's life. If the Blue Jay is pouring a lot of effort into the moth and the moth is not taking that effort and using it for positive growth, or if the blue jay is focused on the moth when the moth is kind of off doing their own thing, then essentially what we're doing is we're pouring into something that's empty, right? We're pouring into a siphon. And then, we're not getting anything in return. So the universe is really guiding the blue jay to kind of take a step back, whether partially or completely, from the moth, and start pouring their energy into things that give back, things that don't drain the blue jay. And because when we're giving to connections that are also giving to us, right? It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy where we can pour into a situation where maybe the person is just really far behind and needs to learn some independence and take initiative for themselves, or we're focused on a situation that isn't going anywhere. And so that really can eat us alive. But when, and then we're not happy. But if we redirect our energy into things that are more fulfilling and that are beneficial for us, whether it's in other connections or it's in activities that really make us feel fulfilled, then we are happier, right? Like, it doesn't mean that we can't feel frustrated or struggle with what's going on with the moth, whether we're in connection with them or not. But it just means like we're learning to plant seeds that are going to offer something to us as well. And then for the moth, we got, it is safe to look within. As I move through the layers of other people's opinions and beliefs, I see within myself a magnificent being, wise and beautiful. I love what I see in me. So it might seem counterproductive because we've talked about how the moth has an ego. However, I feel like the universe is saying a couple of things to the moth. For one, it may be important for the moth to become aware of what other people's opinions of them are, because they may find that their opinion of themselves and the opinions of others are kind of different, and they may be like, well, shit, I wonder why that is. So that could help them become more self-aware and emotionally intelligent. There also could be an issue with low self-esteem. Sometimes people who put up the biggest front of confidence are the people who are the most insecure, right? They put up a mask, they build walls, because then they feel they can shelter themselves from judgments of other people. And then they don't have to feel anything. And the universe is really calling the moth person, like, take a deep inventory of who you really are and how you feel about yourself. And, learn to love yourself genuinely. Not for who you think you have to be, but for who you actually are. So group number 3, I hope that this reading was helpful. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If it resonated, let me know how in the comment section down below. If you'd like to be a part of the family and haven't done so, you can hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. And if you would like to be, if you'd like a personal reading with me, you can find my contact information in the description box down below. Send me an email and I'll send you a list of my services. Bye.